know it's a whole new roster, but could you break down whether it's the freshmen, the big men, the guards, the forwards, just what have you learned about the different segments of your team that you didn't know coming into the summer?
I mean, obviously, the injuries right now are unique, you know, because a couple of them were, actually 3 of them were kind of pre-existing injuries. 2 of them we didn't know would be to the extent of what they are, and one of them we did, you know, Desmond, we knew that his situation, and then we've had just a, you know, we do go hard, and so we've had some couple ankles and some stuff like that that'll be, you know, healed. When Desmond got on the floor, it changed kind of the complexion of our team. And then I don't think we really know who we are, like where this team goes, so to speak, until, you know, we get more guys. Like we're going to probably be a team that, you know, in October will be the first time we're getting close to healthy. So it's really, you know, it's too hard to tell where we are. I know it's a group that practices super hard. It's a group that executes. It's a group that has the ability to retain offense and defensive schemes at a high level. And it's a team that's got great chemistry off and on the floor. And you know, everybody, like at this time of year, until you start, as Chuck Daly said, until there's shots and minutes, you know, but this is a team that character-wise is where we want it to be for sure.
Can you share a little bit too about that email that you brought up at the beginning of practice from a professor? What was that all about?
Just, you know, got an email. I think there were 7 guys in the email just about what a pleasure they were. I mean, it was the best email that I've ever received. Not even close to anything like that off the floor. That was kind of unsolicited from someone that I didn't know. And then it was like half our team. You know, it was like, you know, my wife, I'm like, oh yeah, it's so and so and so, and she's like, that's half the team. Like, so that's, you know, that, I mean, we recruited a little bit to that as well. You know, there's all these different components in college, and sometimes it gets lost. It's obviously on the court or on the field. That's, you know, what we're all judged on, and nobody's saying you get any extra credit for, you know, for GPAs and all, but that is a part of our job that's not talked about enough, is the character of people and what happens to them when they're done playing for you. And, you know, then this group's going to go far in life because I don't know how far they go in basketball, but I mean, this is the character of who they are.
Could you give us a rundown of who's out with injury and what might extend into the fall?
Yeah, I figured when we got together, that was the one negative of all this is to do an injury report. Kevin Patton's out with a hip. You know, for sure 5 months. You know, possibly longer. 5.5 would probably be the earliest. You know, Clark Slackert's you know, he had a severe ankle sprain, but that I would assume when we come back after the two-week break that he'll be back with us. He is doing stuff in the weight room, and see who else. Matt Nolan will. I mean, he'll be back probably October. Is when he'll be back. Obviously Desmond's back. So really, it's, you know, Wesley Yates. We hope to get clearance where he'll be able to, you know, play right when we come back. But you know, we've been hopeful of that for, you know, a couple different appointments in a couple different weeks. So we'll just have to continue to be patient on Wesley and make sure that the foot's fully healed. But everybody else should be back. So it's really Patton in order of latest returners would be Patton, Nolan, and then Yates with that question mark of when it happens. Everybody else we're you know, should be good.
Jaden too? Shelley?
Yes, Shelley's is an ankle. Yeah, his is nothing that, you know, x-rays came back, everything was fine.
Coach Mark Holkin, WeAre.com, pleasure to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Mark.
I noticed out there you're doing a little bit of a celebratory thing with Coach with John Gallimini. What was that all about?
With
the strength and conditioning, John?
Oh yeah, just because yesterday Rashawn was unable to practice due to an ankle injury, and then he made the most explosive play of the day. So I just, wanted to give our trainer like a shout out for that. Rehab was pretty impressive to go from not practicing to explosive dunking.
And could you elaborate on your availability award?
Yeah, just the availability. The more you talk to NBA, probably executives even more than coaches, but coaches as well. One of the things that has come up in recent drafts as people are calling around about players is this word about being available. I think pro sports, as everything changes, day by day, and players being available is something that every franchise wants. I don't know how much they want to talk about it. I can talk about it because it's pro sports, and I'm not in that game. But just being available, being mentally ready. Those are some questions that get asked quite often from NBA people now that I don't recall that term ever being used up until the last two drafts. But that was a term with our guys that were one and dones a year ago. That was something that was asked a lot about, and I just thought it was really unique.
Eric, you mentioned you guys go hard in the summer. The ankle injuries, that's something you're concerned about? You maybe try and pull back a little bit, or is it just kind of byproduct of?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Clark actually has had. I think both those guys, Shelley and Clark, have had some ankle issues before. We don't go live that much. Yeah. I'm sure the players would like to go live more, but as I told them, you guys probably couldn't hear, but I told them about what they're going to feel like in March. In March, we want our teams to be the healthiest. We want our teams to be the freshest. We want our teams playing their best. And, so this is the first time I've really had many injuries at all in the summer. So I think, like I said, three pre-existing things. You add 3 to a couple ankle stuff, but no, I think our trainers and strength coaches, like the prehab stuff, they've done a great job of, knock on wood, nothing other than the ankle stuff and the pre-existing. So we'll take that every day.
How long has Desmond been back, and what stood out to you about what you've seen from him on the court?
Yeah, so I would say Desmond's probably been back full go, without looking at a calendar, probably 2.5 weeks. Great vision, moves with great fluid, like he's really fluid. He's got point guard instincts. While he was out, St. Thomas did a great job as a point guard, because we know if we play small ball, 5, and I don't really consider them 5s. Saint might play some minutes there to create mismatches. Buzo might play some there to create some mismatches if we go small with 5 guards, but they're both strong enough and athletic enough to front and do some unique things in the post. When Saint's out there, and I haven't asked him, but I'm assuming his whole life he's probably been a 3-4. But because of what we saw in film and his willingness to be a passer and his court vision, we'll probably, if we go big, I don't know how this team can go big, but if internally we call it we're going big now, he would probably be a big lineup point guard. If we could get some of our other bigs to play some more perimeter type offense, the plan would be to throw him out there for a couple minutes as a point guard at times if we need it defensively, or if we have a lead and we want to have a better defensive rebounding team, we could put him at that position. And I think due to the injury, he got a lot of reps that if Desmond would have been healthy, he never would have gotten those.
It is with Saint, the versatility there to play 1 at times, play the 5 at times. Was that something you were looking for, you were interested in when you recruited him or you saw in him, or is it something that's even just kind of jumped out more as a possibility to you as you've gotten to know him and what he can do on the floor?
Yeah, no, I would say versatility is what the roster was recruited for. We knew that he was a high assist guy. I didn't necessarily know that he could play in pick and rolls like this. And I think we have a lot of guys that can play 3 positions. It's just not a lot of times you can get a guy to play 4. But Buzo can probably play 4 positions, 2 through 5. Again, he's not a 5, but if we want to go small, T. Will can probably play 2 to 5. Saint can probably play 1 to 5. So yeah, I think, you know, some of those core pieces, versatility was a big part. Desmond could play 1 through 3, although on this team he's probably never going to get a chance to play 2 or 3, but he could. We just, you know, if he's in the game, he's probably going to be a point guard.
What's the key to you to kind of fully unlocking Saint this year? It seems like you know, with him, just looking back at his last stops, a lot of it for reaching his ceiling might be kind of the mental and, you know, getting him there.
Yeah.
What do you think, you know, that relationship is going to look like this year? What do you feel like you guys need to do to get him to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Saint and I started off in the recruiting process, some really good one-on-one conversations, some conversations even where I asked the assistants to leave the room, and he and I got a chance to talk. His skill level, you know, he's an NBA player, skill level wise. Every player's got, you know, areas that they need to work on and improve on, and with him, confidence, belief, his teammates, you know, it's going to be important how his teammates interact with him, just like it is with every basketball player. But I think he's with a great support cast of guys that want him to succeed. There's, you know, I don't sense any jealousy or anything like that with this group. And I think it's important that he's able to, you know, call me and talk to me or come into my office and talk about whatever he wants to talk about in regards to anything. And I think he has that in a short amount of time. I mean, obviously it's going to keep growing, but I think we have that right now. I think that we've had basketball conversations, we've had non-basketball conversations.
Coach, first impressions or lasting impressions, that practice made a big impression on me. If you were to describe...
That was about a 6.
6?
Yeah, I mean, because we just have so many guys hurt. I mean, that core 8 guys, like, they're exhausted, you know, because just because of all the reps. But, you know, I think that come to a practice in September when we're not under, or I should say October, when we're not under 4-hour time limit for the week, and it'll be even higher intensity, more body movement, more player movement, more vocalization. It's hard when you got 9 guys. Somebody's going twice every time. Like the amount of energy that was exerted when you look at the little, I don't know what they're called, but the jackets they wear. I mean, they're at a high number with those guys, at a high number.
Yeah, I was trying to find the best way to describe it. Is it controlled chaos? Is it a frenetic frenzy? I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I hope it's not chaos, but I mean, maybe our guys think it is.
How do you, you know, in the 4 months that you've been here, bringing together a group of guys that have never played before, when you're even kind of talking about something as simple as structuring practices and getting guys to understand where the right spots are, you even had that just a little interaction about, you know, I think the inbounds play or this and that and installing that. Like, how have you gotten everyone on the same page so quickly just to be simply in the right spots, to be understanding what you're trying to do in practice and kind of going through things as quickly as you guys have been?
Yeah, I mean, one, they have great basketball IQ. 2, you just, you know, I mean, our philosophy is they all want to play at the NBA level. We're going to have an NBA playbook. I mean, that's the size of what we're going to do. It's going to, we're not going to wait on people, you know, and it's a struggle, you know, for some younger players sometimes. And we talked about that yesterday as a group, that everyone's going to have a different learning curve based on who they played for in the past. Some guys have played for some great coaches that are super detailed. Other guys maybe not. We tried to assemble a roster that they're coming from great programs, whether it's high school program that they come from, whether it's college program. And part of the process this year, it's unlike last year, and maybe as I look back and try to see how I could improve, is figuring out who guys played for. You know, like, we didn't win at the rate we wanted to last year. At Arkansas, it wasn't because of talent, I can tell you that, because any team that could go out and play Alabama like we did at the end of the year at their place, and they're a top 3 team in the country, anybody that can play at Kentucky like we did, anybody that can beat Duke, it wasn't talent. And so we went back and, you know, hey, who did this guy play for before before he played for us. And, you know, all right, well, shame on us. Like, how are we going to expect him to understand what we're doing or play at the intensity level that we want? And he's not used to even not even in the same stratosphere. So we tried to recruit players that come from coaches that we respect, and we eliminated people that played at programs that we didn't respect. Or we have a guy on a visit, and the more you talk to him, you're like, well, yeah, well, that's because he played at so and so and for so and so, and that's not gonna fly. But you know, we took some gambles last year, and so you learn from it. You know.
One last question for Coach.
I don't have anywhere to go. I mean,
Players are chomping at the bit.
okay,
I'll just ask. Seems like Desmond obviously didn't have a good year last year shooting the ball, or if you look at his percentages, what have you. But his motion, you know, his shot looks pretty smooth. What do you think is the key and the importance of him kind of developing a consistent shot, you know, in that role, and what's the process there?
Yeah, I think that like there's, as a young player, you know, like you look at a player that's a one and done, and then you look at the improvement. You know, Desmond is going to be a really good shooter. He's putting in the work. He's a great dribble drive guy. So I think sometimes when you can get to the cup and you can create offense off the bounce, you know, then he's got a dilemma every time he's got the ball. Some of our other guys do too. Is, do I shoot this thing or go to the cup? And so now it's a matter of play with other playmakers. Can one of these other guys get the ball in their hands, draw an extra defender, spit it to Dez, and then Dez be comfortable to let the ball go from the perimeter. We want him to. I mean, we have never had any conversations about, hey, lower your head and dribble drive. That might come in a game but we want him to have freedom to shoot, as we want all our guys to have freedom to shoot and not feel like, oh, I gotta just do one thing. I mean, we feel like Rashawn is going to be able to make some threes, and Josh is going to be able to make some threes, and we know Harry has had some games where he's made some threes. So, you know, shooting is something that all of our guys, we want them to improve by putting the time in on their own.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
We're going to bring up